Welcome to Taiji's Kitchen. Today I'm going to show you 4 different kinds of sashimi. So this is the second part of the video after filleting the fish. So if you haven't watched that, please go watch that first. Or if you have a filleted fish, then you don't need that. So there are primarily 4 different kinds of sashimi in Japanese cuisine. One is just a regular sashimi where you cut up raw fish. Second is called Kobujime, which is kind of like a pickle or aged fish wrapped in Kombu kelp. Third is called Yubiki, which is very lightly seared with the boiling water only on the surface. And fourth is Aburi, which is very lightly roasted only on the surface with a burner and usually only on the skin side. So I hope you find something new in this. Then let's get started. Here are the ingredients for 4 different kinds of sashimi. Here I have the fillet of the sea bream. For most part, you don't need anything except for salt. And then for Kobujime, I'm going to use a strip of Kombu kelp and rice wine vinegar. But this can be easily substituted with any kind of vinegar, like white wine vinegar or apple vinegar. Now let's get to it. So the first thing I'm going to do is cut these into so-called Saku blocks. So Saku is this like fish block that you see quite often in like sushi bars where they slice off the sashimi or for the sushi. So in order to do that, I'm gonna cut this into half, and also we're gonna do that because there's this bone right here in the middle. So what I'm going to do is I'm going to cut this in half, and I'm gonna see where this bone is. Like so. So this part doesn't have any bones right here, and then here. So you can kind of feel it where the bones are, and the bones go until like to the midpoint or so. So I'm just gonna cut this off like so. And then this part you can use for the stalk as well. And you might ask, why is he not taking the bones off with the tweezers? You can, but the problem with that is that when you take out the bones with a tweezer, then you kind of break off these meat, and then you don't have like a really nice surface. That's why I'm not doing that. So depending on the part of the fish, they taste quite differently. The stomach part, they tend to be quite oily and they tend to be quite tasty. So a lot of people prefer this part. The head side of the back part tends to be really tender, like meaty part. And here the tail part, so that's where a lot of muscle is. That's the main movement of the fish. And so this is really, really muscular, and it tends to be a little bit harder, but rather has like a really rich flavor to it. So I personally like this mild part, the back part of the fish. Today I'm going to use the bottom part for Yubiki and the grilling, so I'm not going to take off the skin. I'm going to leave it like that. And for the top part, I'm going to use the front part for Kobujime and the back side for regular sashimi. So for this, I'm going to take off the skin. So taking off the skin might be the thing that a lot of people think it's the hardest part. It does take a little bit of practice, but if you practice enough, it's actually not that difficult. So what you want to do is you want to kind of nick off tail like this. And then what you want to do is you want to pull this skin away from you in this direction and move the knife on the other direction, and not in the direction of the edge, but rather you want to scrape off. So the edge goes this way, but you want to scrape off like this. That's how you prevent cutting into the skin and instead just take off the skin. So what I'm gonna do is like this. Oops, I'm also not that great, especially with a camera, so bear with me. Okay, then let's start from the other side. Then what I'm going to do is I'm going to peel off a little bit right here, like this, and then like this, and then just kind of wiggle the knife a little side to the side, like this. And then the skin is off. And then I'm gonna cut this in half. Like so. I'm gonna use this part for Kobujime and this part for regular sashimi. I'm gonna wash this quickly with salt water. So one thing you never want to do is let the fish meat touch pure water, because the meat has a lot of nutrients, a lot of the flavor in it, and as soon as it touches pure water, then they start losing all the flavor. So what you want to do is you want to make a salt water, just about same saltiness as the salt water, which is about 3%, and then you want to just kind of quickly wash this in the salt water. And then you just kind of take away the excess fat, excess odor from this meat. And then right away take it out and then take the water out. So you want to take away the water with paper towel. Then let's make the Kobujime with this strip. So what you want to do is you have a Kombu strip, wet this very slightly with the vinegar. So this helps kind of grow the bacteria on both sides. Take away the excess vinegar. And then what you want to do is take this right directly on this and then wrap it around with Kombu kelp. And what it does is that Kombu kelp is going to take away the water from the meat and at the same time giving away all the umami in the fish. So the meat will be a little bit tenderized, but also at the same time the water gets taken away. Then this we're going to wrap it in saran wrap like this. So we're going to try to wrap it very tightly so that no oxygen will go in. And also that all the surface touches the Kombu kelp. We're gonna leave it like this for at least about 3 to 4 hours, preferably overnight. And then we're gonna eat this later. And while we're waiting on that, we can't let this sit like this. And so we're also going to wrap this in kitchen paper to prevent from going bad. So it's kind of like a process of aging. So in Japan nowadays, a lot of people start realizing that we can also age the fish and it is going to increase the amount of umami. But in order to do that, there are two important things. First, prevent any water and at the same time, contact with the fresh air and oxygen. Because this air, what we have here around, there's a lot of bacteria. Also, when they come in contact with oxygen, then they start growing. So you want to store it like this and also wrap this with saran wrap, so that it comes very little contact with oxygen, as little as possible. And this as well. So we're gonna wait about 4 to 5 hours. So it has been about 6 hours now. Let's see how they look. So this is the Kobujime with Kombu kelp. So by the way, I changed the wrapping about an hour later because the kombu grows a little bit and the end part here was not covered, so I wanted to cover that as well. And as you can see, the color has a little bit darkened, a little bit yellowy, so this is finished as that is. Now with the other ones, they haven't changed, of course. Like so, looking good. So this is finished. This I'm just gonna cut into pieces, and this we need to do a little bit of prepping of searing on the surface and also Yubiki with hot water. But before we go into that, I'm gonna prepare first the decorations. So with a lemon, I'm just gonna, there are a couple different ways to do this. Strip like this, and maybe also, and then this, like so. Now with the daikon, the white radish, I'm going to make soko tsuma, which is like those thin strips that you might have seen in sushi restaurant. So for that, it's better to use the top part and then just kind of peel the skin off. So what we're gonna do is we're gonna peel it as thin as possible. Well, I'm not so professional, so I'm gonna just try to do it as much as possible. And of course, you don't have to do this. This is just kind of to make it look neat, to have a little decoration on the side. I think that'll be enough for today. And as you can see, I'm not particularly good at this, so excuse me for that. I'm not trained in doing this. And then what we're gonna do is make really thin strips. Just kind of like this. So let's make the Yubiki and Aburi, lightly boiled and lightly seared. So I'm just gonna cut this into 2 pieces, like so. I'm gonna use the front part for Yubiki and the tail part for searing. So let's make the Yubiki first. So when I do the Yubiki, the skin part is gonna curl up. So I'm just gonna make very thin incision just on the, very lightly on the surface, just to cut the skin. Very lightly like this. Like this. And then I'm going to put over it kitchen paper, and then I'm going to put in under on one side, like here, anything, like just gonna use kitchen towel like this to a little bit higher on one side. And then over this, I'm gonna pour some hot water. Oh yeah, so I almost forgot. Before doing this, you want to prepare ice water like this, so that after it gets poured over hot water, then you can cool it directly. So I'm gonna leave it here. And then I'm gonna pour hot boiling water over this. Just so lightly, like this. And then right away take that paper out and then put this in cold water so that it doesn't get boiled. Only boiling the skin part. This is finished for that. And then next, we're going to sear the surface of this. For that, we're going to use a blowtorch. If you don't have this, then it's kind of difficult to do this. You could do it on a gas fire, but with some kind of burner is better. So just very lightly sear the surface like this. And this as well, right away in the cold water, so that it doesn't get cooked. Oh, by the way, make sure when you sear the surface, you don't do it on top of cutting board, that you use some kind of metal surface, otherwise you burn the cutting board. So here we have different kind of sashimi. So there are a number of ways to cut these. I'm gonna show a couple of them. Let's start with a regular sashimi. Then I'm just gonna cut this and off. Of course, I'm gonna eat this. Don't throw these away. Easiest way for cutting this is just cut through and try to make the cut in one stroke. So this is called hirazukuri. This is the easiest cut. And then different kind of cutting is called usuzukuri. So I'm gonna do that with this here. I'm gonna cut the one end off. I'm gonna need this later, of course. And then cut like this. So stroke like this. And then at the end, you want to have the knife perpendicular like this. So diagonal like this. And cut like this. So that's another way to cut this. And then this, I'm just gonna do this similar way. Like this. And this, cut the end off. And this, I'm just gonna cut a little bit bigger pieces. Like this. Now let's put this on the plate. So I'm just gonna put the tsuma here and also a little bit of green. Then here I'm gonna put the seared sashimi. And I'm actually gonna use this kombu also for the decoration. There's really no right way to do this. Just gonna try to make it some neat form. The key of this is trying to make it a little bit three-dimensional. So just kind of the effect of going up like this. A little bit of color to that. And then right here, we usually leave this corner open for wasabi. Try to make a little bit of leafy look. And this is finished for a sashimi platter. Let's eat. This looks amazing. Let's eat. Itadakimasu. So if you get a chance to make sashimi or sushi yourself, I would suggest getting this Tamari soy sauce. This has much richer flavor. This is much more expensive. The small bottle costs about like 5 to 6 euro, which is about $5-6. When you eat really good sushi or sashimi, this matches really well. As you can see, this is a much thicker soy sauce than regular soy sauce. The one big mistake a lot of people do when eating sashimi or sushi is putting the wasabi directly in the soy sauce. Don't ever do that. So the aroma of wasabi goes away when it's dissolved in soy sauce. So what you want to do is you want to just put the wasabi like this on the sashimi and then just dip it like very lightly, not too much, and then eat it. We almost always eat sashimi with rice. This is really good. So the sea bream has very slight, subtle sweetness and with a lot of umami. So this sashimi is very flavorful and a very hint of sweetness, and the sweetness is kind of heightened through the wasabi, the little punch of wasabi. Very good. So let's have the Kobujime. You can see it's a little bit brownish, a little bit yellowish. That's the umami from the Kombu kelp. So let's have that. Itadakimasu. So this is a little bit too light. I would prefer that was marinated a little bit longer, like overnight would have been much better, but they still have like a very light, subtle scent of Kombu kelp. And this Kombu kelp is just kind of adding another layer to the sashimi. Here's maybe something else. We do eat sashimi primarily with soy sauce, but there are two other variations to this. One is with ponzu sauce. Ponzu sauce is a mixture of soy sauce and citrus juice, usually so-called yuzu. And if you want to know more about this ponzu, then check out my other video on Japanese seasoning. And you don't have to buy this, you can make this with just lemon juice and soy sauce. This is also very delicious. And I like eating seared sashimi with this ponzu sauce. And this is also very good. So ponzu sauce has this sourness. The mixture of sourness and the soy sauce kind of gives another layer to this flavor and also brings out the flavor of the fish as well. And for this, I like to kind of really dip it a lot because ponzu sauce is not that salty in compared to like soy sauce. Itadakimasu. And also this seared sashimi, it's got this smokiness from the searing. This is also another good layer to this, to the flavor of the fish. And the other variation of salt and lemon juice. So I put a little bit of salt in here, and then I'm going to squeeze in the lemon juice. And then, so I don't make this quite often, but it matches as well. So this is kind of similar to ponzu, but instead of soy sauce, just salt. Itadakimasu. This is also very refreshing. And since this skin is very lightly cooked, it's got this chewiness. So then I'm gonna have this regular sashimi with ponzu sauce. Kombu sashimi with the lemon salt. This is also a good combination. And then the seared sashimi with wasabi and soy sauce. And of course, don't throw these away. You can eat it with different sauce. I'm gonna first have it with regular soy sauce, not too much. So this is kind of like a pickle. So it just kind of changes up the flavor in the mouth. I'm gonna have the Yubiki with the soy sauce and the wasabi. And this daiko, I'm gonna eat it with the ponzu sauce. And you can also have the Kobujime with the Kombu. So Kombu and fish, they both come from ocean, so they have to match. Oh, that was totally savory, so delicious. ごちそうさまでした. Oh, that was totally delicious. So today I showed you 4 variations of sashimi and 3 variations of sauce for sashimi. And of course you don't have to try all these 4 variations of sashimi. You can just try 1 or 2 of them next time you get a fresh fish. And a very important thing, please be very careful how fresh the fish is. Make sure with the clerk that it is sashimi quality, that you can eat the fish raw. And even if they say that it's sashimi quality, if you have any slight doubt with the smell, with the look of it, then don't eat it raw. You can still eat it very deliciously by cooking it. Because at the end of the day, whatever others says, you are responsible for your own health. So please be very careful about that. Other than that, this is a very delicious thing, actually very easy to prepare. You just need to cut up. So I hope you give it a try. If you like what you saw, please hit the like button. If you want to see more of these videos or more other variations, then please write that in the comments below. I'm always happy to hear your comments. Otherwise, I look forward to see you in the next video. Bye!